Good morning, children. In today's class, we'll be discussing about heterotrophic nutrition. We have already discussed about autotrophic and how autotrophic nutrition occurs in plants. So now let us continue about heterotrophic nutrition. So about heterotrophic nutrition, you already know what is this kind of nutrition? What is heterotrophic nutrition? So it is a kind of nutrition where organisms obtain food directly or indirectly from autotrophs. Right. So we will understand what do we mean by this. What does this mean? Directly or indirectly from autotrophs. So let us first understand what we mean by directly from autotrophs. Here by autotrophs we mean green plants. So children, in your lower classes also you have learnt about all this, that the organisms which consume green plants or which consume autotrophs, or you can say which consume green plants or the plant products, are called as herbivores. So that means the organisms which directly consume plant or plant products are called as herbivores, and they fall into the category of heterotrophs. So this definition, what I have written, organisms that obtain food directly or indirectly from autotrophs. So the ones which obtain directly are called as herbivores. Example of herbivores are grass eating animals such as deer, goat, all cattle like cow, buffalo, etc. You know about all these. You have studied in your lower classes. Now, what do you mean by indirectly? Organisms which indirectly obtain food from autotrophs. So, indirectly means that they don't consume green plants. Rather they consume organisms which are eating green plants. So that means they have not obtained nutrition directly from the green plants. They have obtained nutrition indirectly. As herbivores have taken nutrition from green plants, the animals or the organisms which have consumed herbivores, we will call them as carnivores. And these are the organisms which are obtaining nutrition indirectly from the autotrophs. So examples of carnivores: lion, tiger, etc. Now there is one more category which you know, that is the omnivores. Omnivores are the organisms which consume both plants as well as animals. So they fall into the category of omnivores. Now children, here you need to understand that organisms, whether it is herbivore or carnivore, these organisms, what are they doing? Both of these, either you take herbivores or carnivores, both of these organisms, they are taking whole food. Whole food means, yes, you see, herbivores are eating plants like deer, goat, cow, buffalo. What are they doing? They are eating plants. Carnivores, they are eating animals. In both cases, these organisms are consuming whole food. They are not taking only nutrition, they are consuming the whole food. And then this complex food is broken into simple food, or you can say nutrients are derived from the food by the process of digestion inside the body of these organisms. Therefore, such type of nutrition is called as holozoic nutrition. What is the meaning of holozoic nutrition? Holozoic nutrition means organisms which obtain whole food. They consume whole food in the complex form, and then inside the body of the organism they convert this complex food into simple products, simple nutrients. This is called as holozoic nutrition. And for doing this, there is a process called as digestion. Who helps in the process of digestion inside the body of living organism? Who converts this complex food into simple food? So for conversion of complex food into simple food, there are enzymes present. Enzymes, you can also call them as biocatalysts. They are present inside the body. There are some certain chemicals which are secreted by the body which help in conversion of complex food into simple food. I hope it is clear. Holozoic mode of nutrition. Holozoic means organism consuming whole food and then deriving nutrients from that whole food inside their own body by converting it into simple products. Conversion of complex food into simple is called as digestion, and for digestion enzymes play a very important role. So here one question must have arisen in your mind, that if organisms are consuming whole food, such type of nutrition is called as holozoic. So are there any organism which do not follow this kind of nutrition? That is, rather than consuming whole food, are there certain organisms which only take nutrients from the food? Yes, there are these group of organisms which, instead of consuming the whole food, what do? They only derive nutrients from the food. They secrete enzymes from their body in the outside environment on the food. The food gets converted into simple nutrients, and these organisms then obtain only nutrients from that food, and such organisms are called as saprophytes. Which type of organism fall into this category? Example is fungi, such as bread mold or mushroom or yeast. All these organisms are saprophytes. What do? They, rather than consuming the whole food, they only obtain nutrients from the food by secreting chemicals on it and just taking the nutrients from the food. So there is a difference between holozoic nutrition and saprophytic nutrition. In holozoic nutrition, organisms will obtain the whole food and then digest inside their body, convert it into simple products, and then obtain or absorb the nutrients from it. In saprophytic mode of nutrition, rather than consuming the whole food, these organisms will only derive nutrients from the food. Right, children? Now let us come back to this holozoic nutrition. Here, you understand one thing, children. In the case whether you talk about herbivores or you talk about carnivores, in both the cases, organism, when they derive nutrient from anything, say herbivores deriving nutrient from green plant or carnivores deriving nutrient from herbivores, in both the cases they are killing the organism, isn't it? In both cases, I'll write it here. Organism is getting killed. So killing organism and then obtaining nutrition. So my point here is, are there organisms which obtain nutrients without killing the organism? Are there organisms which obtain nutrients from living organisms? Yes, there are organisms which obtain nutrients from living organisms, and those organisms are called as parasites. What do parasites do? Parasites live on living organisms and then they derive nutrients from the living organism. Whatever living organism is eating and processing it and obtaining nutrients, those nutrients parasites snatch from them. So which means they are not killing them, but they are harming them. So parasites obtain food from living organisms without killing them, but yes, they do harm them. Where are these parasites present? So there are variety of parasites you will find. They can be found on plants as well as animals. That means there are plant parasites also and animal parasites also. Some example of plant parasite is Cuscuta, which is also called as Amar Bel in Hindi. And animal parasite, here children, one more thing you need to understand. In animal parasite, a parasite can live on the body of living organism, means on the outer surface. So such parasite you will call them as ectoparasite. And some parasites can be found inside the body of living organism, residing inside the body of living organism and then reproducing as well as deriving nutrients within the body of living organism. Those are called as endoparasites. Some examples of ectoparasite, very common one I am listing: ticks, leech, lice, etc., which live on the body surface and then suck nutrients from the outer surface. Endoparasite, example, tapeworm. It resides in the intestine of the living organism and then derives nutrients from it. So here we have understood about heterotrophic nutrition. So what is heterotrophic nutrition? Heterotrophic nutrition is when organisms obtain food directly or indirectly from autotrophs. The ones which obtain nutrients directly from autotrophs are called as herbivores, which eat green plants or the plant products such as goat, deer, cow, buffalo, etc. And the ones which indirectly obtain nutrients from autotrophs are called as carnivores, which feed on herbivores. That is how they indirectly obtain nutrients from autotrophs. In both the cases, what happens? The organism is getting killed. There are certain group of organisms which, rather than killing the organism, obtain nutrients from the living organism. They are called as parasite. They can be plant parasite or animal parasite. Examples I have listed here. One more thing, that in both the cases, in case of herbivores or carnivores, the organism is obtaining food as a whole. Whole food is taken, not the nutrients. The whole food is taken in and the nutrients are absorbed inside the body by digesting the complex food into simple with the help of enzymes. Such type of nutrition is called as holozoic nutrition. Now children, there are organisms who do other way. Instead of absorbing the, instead of taking the whole food, what they prefer is taking only nutrients from the food. From outside only they will digest the food, convert it into simple. Those organisms are called as saprophytes. Examples are listed here children.